So this came in the mail today from dieselorings.com. I ordered everything Wednesday night. It shipped Thursday. Today's Saturday. It's already arrived. Regulator repair kit. This is a genuine Ford item. It was $29.81. If you ask me, it's $30 well spent. Get a brand new screen and all the pieces needed to rebuild my regulator. I'm going to go with it. The 94 to 97 F Series complete Fuel Bowl reseal kit and with the blue fluorosilicone drain valve O-rings. Now, these drain valve O-rings, these are the ones that typically leak. These blue fluorosilicone ones. These are the ones that typically leak. What I understand is that this right here, these blue fluorosilicones, these are a 10-year, 200,000 mile fix if you spend the extra couple bucks. I don't want to rebuild these pieces again. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild them this one time with the high quality rebuild kit and hope that I don't have to do it again before I do a do-it-yourself electric fuel pump mod to this truck. So I think this will do the trick for me. I also, because it made sense and it was affordable and this is a good part to have, I ordered the TP38 turbine inlet gasket from them. It was only $14. I went with it. So all three pieces from dieselorings.com. There's a link to Diesel O-Rings in Colorado right here at the bottom of this YouTube video. And this is basically the pieces that came. And we're going to go ahead and pull the fuel bowl right now. We're going to go ahead and pull the fuel bowl right now and get started on this this bad dude. Okay, this is a lot of what it looks like in here. As you can see, we already have the turbo pulled. I'm going to go ahead and take the camera off the tripod and get a close-up look at some of this stuff before I pull it off. With the turbo missing, you can clearly see your fuel lines that go to the back of the head. Yeah, you can clearly see the fuel lines that go to the back of your head. And there's the pump. This is from the tank to the filter. So this goes to the tanks, this goes into the filter, and okay, now you can see in there real good. Okay, so down there, these two, one's from the tank, this one, well, the one on the right here is from the tank, the other one on the left begins the pressurized system and goes into the fuel bowl and pushes fuel the filter, and then down there, let's see if I can get the light on it. Yeah, down right there, you can see it comes out of the filter housing and goes into the pump at the bottom, and then the pump hooks it to this banjo bolt and then pushes it into the heads. So it's basically used a reciprocating saw and popped right through those two top lines instead of even trying to take them off. Okay, now I'm laying into the truck here. I'm going to remove the two fuel lines at the back of the head with a 15mm wrench. Go ahead and do this pretty messy process, as you'll see here in a second. Okay, so this thing makes a huge mess. It's going to fill your whole galley with diesel fuel. Don't pull the pump out with your galley full of diesel fuel. That pump rides right on the cam. You're just gonna let a bunch of shit fall right into your motor. It's no bueno. Do not pull the pump out with it flooded like that. I'm gonna suction pump a bunch of it out and then use a shop vac to get the rest of it. Towels. Clean up the whole galley while you're in here. Now I'm gonna shop back up all that dirt and clear it out, and the pump's pretty much ready to come out. So it's these two bolts to the left and to the right. You got to cut these tubes. It's the bolts here at the back. Pull all your fuel lines here in the front. Make sure that you vacuum that out. Don't let it get in your motor. All right, so those are your basic parts. You got your fuel bowl with your pressure regulator and your pump. And that's what I want to talk about next, is right here where this pump goes into the head. It can present a significant challenge. It was the only pain in the ass part I had on the entire removal. Yesterday went incredibly smooth. Everything pretty much just pulled out. For the pump, I did have to stick a couple screwdrivers in underneath the ear tabs here, and kind of, you don't want to pry it really hard. That's a bad move. You want to work it slowly back and forth to get it to pull up out of the hole. You don't want it to get cockeyed in there and break off, otherwise you're a little fudged. So this one right here where it goes on the head, I'm going to take you over there to look at that right now. And we're going to talk about how you can get this off a little easier. So there you go right there. If you look right about the center of your screen, there's a brass fitting on the back side of the head, and it's right below that turbo downpipe. That is where that line for your fuel off the pump goes into the head. What I did was I took a block of wood and put it on my jack, and I jacked up the bottom of the downpipe and pushed it up against the firewall for clearance. I also did this to get the EBV piece off the back of the turbo, the housing off the back of the turbo for turbo removal to make it easy. So pushing the downpipe up and out of the way is a good move. That downpipe's in the way on a couple of items, and you want to get it up and out of the way. Okay, so here we have the fuel bowl removed from the truck. This is your fuel drain, water separator deal here. Tube goes on this and drains out to the underside of the truck. Here's your wiring harness. You want to inspect this and make sure it's in good shape. This harness goes through the casting. This harness goes through the casting. I don't know if you can see it there, but it does. And it doesn't come off. So that's that. And it's basically got a little plug here on the end. And this part here is your fuel pressure regulator. This guy right here, I have a rebuild kit for him. Mine is thrashed, never been rebuilt. There's supposed to be a small screen here. When I pulled it off right now, the screen just crumbled away and there was a bunch of shit, sediment. So this truck I doubt was getting all the fuel properly like it was supposed to. So I got a rebuild kit for that. I've got a rebuild kit for the fuel bowl. Other than that, the fuel bowl is actually in great shape. all my sensors and stuff look fine. I wasn't throwing any trouble codes with the fueling system, so I'm not going to worry about it. There's little rubber deals here that go in on this fuel line behind this nut. Mine are thrashed. I'm going to pick up new ones from so I don't know, somewhere, but they go pretty much right on here. Mine are all torn up, probably not sealing right, so I'm going to take care of that. I have to pull this banjo bolt out. I'm going to pull that out, give you an up close look at it, and then I'm going to ditch this pump because it's trash. And then even though I didn't have to cut this lower one, I'm going to go ahead and replace it too. I'm going to replace all this with some high quality fuel line. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started on the rebuild right now. And once I have everything broken down, I'll go ahead and go over some key points of the reassembly, and we'll open up some of these kits from dieselowring.com, and we'll get a good look at what we're doing here and why we're replacing all the seals. So I just pulled off my my drain valve here. It's legit. The valve is, at least. The pieces are all good. I'm just going to rebuild it. You can see these two O-rings are two that came in the kit, but would you look at that gunk? Look at all the crap that's in there. That has got to be ridiculous. That is, I mean, I don't know. That's ridiculous. There's sediment and junk all stacked up in the whole thing, so I'm going to keep cleaning this out. I just wanted to get the camera on this real quick. Alright. Okay. Now, I wanted to talk about this. You're wondering, what does a water bottle with a bunch of muck built up in it have to do with what we're going to talk about? Well, this is what I carb cleanered out of my fuel bowl. Okay? I thought you might like to see that, and that might form your opinion on whether your fuel bowl needs to be rebuilt and cleaned, because my truck, again, only 180,000 miles on my beast, and that's what I pulled out of it. I don't know. Here's a look at the banjo assembly. Basically, this giant banjo bolt allows fluid to go in the front and come out either of the two holes on the side and fill this bracket here full of fluid when it's hooked to the back of the pump, and then basically the fluid can travel out these two lines. When you go to dieselowrings.com, don't forget to order your sleeves. These sleeves are most likely going to be chewed. This is where the cylinder goes into the head. This is another common spot for a Powerstroke to leak, is on the back of the head. So make sure that you get new sleeves for the back here, and your fuel pump will come with new gaskets. The new gaskets only need to be torqued down to about 40 pounds is all this assembly on the back of the pump needs to be torqued to. So that's what we're going to be torquing ours to, is about 40 pounds is what those seals are made for at the back. So that's a look at the banjo and the fuel lines to the head. So here we're going to talk about a couple of the other pieces. Okay, this fuel bowl, all right, this wiring harness is not going to come out of here. So while you're trying to clean it, you're going to want to be real careful with the parts cleaner. The parts cleaner is not electrical safe. It'll corrode and eat the rubber right off of these. It'll eat the rubber, it'll eat the wire housing, it'll eat all that stuff. Now, my wiring harness looks great, and my fuel bowl is still in good condition, and all my sensors look okay. So I'm going to not really unscrew any more than I have to. Basically, I already have it as stripped down as I'm going to get it. So mindful of the wires and keeping them out of the way, I've cleaned the bowl. I use the same procedure I always do. I put some penetrating oil on it, and then I blast it off with parts cleaner. Okay, this is where your valve hooks onto. These are where those upgraded O-rings I ordered from dieselorings.com go. And this basically clips right here on your housing. Here's your extender guy for said piece. So you're looking good there. This is my stack pipe. I broke it. It's all smashed to craps. This stack pipe is a left-hand thread. So to get it out of the fuel bowl and expose the heating element, you're going to have to turn it the opposite direction. That's how mine got all smashed up and broke. I didn't. This piece of tube is a quality piece of Parker high temp. So I'm going to reuse this. This is from the bowl to the regulator right here. Bam. Okay, so I'm going to reuse this piece. This piece right here is in good shape, but I'm not sure of its origin, and I don't know what the deal is, and I didn't cut it because it was this lower piece. I'm going to keep it and use it as a template. I'm going to do the same with these pieces here. Okay, so basically I have this piece of tube I'm going to use as a template, and I got this piece of tube I'm going to use as a template, and I have this piece of tube, and the other piece of tube is on the truck. I'm going to pull it off, and I'll have a template for a better shot of that. I'll have a template for how big, or what sections of tube I'm going to need and how long they need to be to reconnect the fuel bowl to the fuel pump and get everything back in order. Here is one of the sensors, and you can see it's got an O-ring on it. I'm going to I have the kit from dieseloring.com to replace those and the ones in the fuel drain. The fuel drain is held on by some number 20 Torx heads. You're going to need that. The lid can be stubborn. It's got a 1/2-inch drive deal in the top. I suggest if you can't get it off by hand, you can use that, but don't put it on with that. I always just hand tighten it on and it works fine. And I also have a new, or this doesn't come in the kit, for a new gasket for this, so I just keep the old one. What else? So being mindful of the wiring, we've cleaned out the inside, and I've got all my pieces to make new hosing, and I'm going to get some new clamps, and so that's basically the fuel bowl all torn down. Next, let's cover the regulator. Okay, and another piece I wanted to show you. This part goes in the fuel bowl. This is the fuel heater. This is important. In cold weather, the fuel coming in from the tank, especially when starting, when the motor's first in operation before you built any combustion heat, the fuel needs to be warm enough to work through the system and be atomized, and otherwise you're going to get poor compression and a lot of smoke, cold starts. This is this piece is a must-have, must go back in the fuel bowl. When you pull the pipe, you need to clean this piece, make sure that your connections are intact and that your connector looks good. And then I'm going to actually condition this with a little bit of brake fluid before I put it back in. I know you're wondering why brake fluid. Well, I'm actually going to condition this with brake fluid because it restores rubber and plastic connectors. Believe it or not, it's an old mechanics trick, shade tree mechanics trick. My grandfather taught me it restores all rubber products. Something to do with the conditioners in it for brake lines. So I'm going to go ahead and condition all this with brake fluid, let it sit overnight. And I also have a special trick for when we assemble all this stuff, but I'm going to go ahead and save that for another video. So that's the final part for the fuel bowl. Now we have the regulator pieces. Now this is kind of tricky. This big brass nut with a ring on it right here goes in this upper portion. On the back side of it is this plunger guy and spring. Go in there this way, and then this guy goes on top of it. Now this whole assembly needs to come out because one of your rebuild washers are right here on this nut. If you can see it right there. So that's basically that. This is what your regulator is going to look like, all stripped down and ready to go. These ports and this pressure tester port don't come off. They all stay on. There's nothing on the other side of there that needs to be worked. So you're good to go. This bowl comes off the bottom here, this return bowl. There's a little spout. Spout guy goes in there. He pops right off. And you got a bowl. And inside the bowl's a spring. So I put the spring, the spout, and the bowl all together. There's an O-ring. This big O-ring right here comes off the bowl. That's another spot you're going to want to repair. So you got that ring. This ring right here goes over the top of this main hole. This one ring right here goes over the top of this hole. It actually sits in a hole on the fuel bowl. And that's your main connection to the fuel bowl there. So there's an O-ring there. You got this guy. This is the infamous part that has the screen on it that everybody's always telling you has got to get cleaned. Well, you get a whole new one of these in the rebuild kit, and I needed one bad. As you can see, mine doesn't even have a screen on the front of it anymore. Mine was a broke piece of shit. And it goes right inside this hole right here like so. And I had to use a little baby pair of channel locks and pull it out, and it didn't have a screen on it. Okay. And there was a little chase ball behind it. And this guy's got 2 O-rings on it. So those are basically all the pieces that you get. Now what I like to do is I line up all my pieces, and then right next to it I line up all my new O-rings, and I look at them to make sure I've got, because it's, you know, you may be unfamiliar with this. If you want to make sure you have everything, put all your pieces here, then open up your kit alongside of it and take inventory and make sure that you have all your same pieces before you begin reassembly. Now I'm sure that I have all my pieces, so I'm just going to go ahead and begin reassembly, and we'll get back with you after we have everything put back together. Okay, I've reassembled the pressure regulator for the side of the fuel bowl here. Still have a couple more pieces. There's an O-ring, your screen piece, and your chaser ball right there to connect it to the fuel bowl. I have the fuel bowl right here. You can see I put the drain spout back on it. This has been completely rebuilt. Top shelf. Again, these are number 20 Torx head bits. You're going to need those to take this on and off. I've reattached all the wires and put the fuel bowl heater here and the little pin that holds it in. This is I think temperature sensor. I'm not 100% sure which one this is, but I put both of these back on, and they got their new seals, and the wiring harness is in good shape, so we left it alone. So the fuel bowl's been rebuilt, the regulator's rebuilt. The last thing we need to do is attach these two. The reason that I fired up the camera is because I wanted to show you what I do is I take a little bit of the Rotella oil that we used earlier for the turbo assembly. I put a little in a cap, and then I take and I always prepare the O-ring with a little bit of Rotella on it. And the reason I do this is because it allows the O-ring to seat better. It fits right inside its home nice and tight, and it doesn't allow it to get as pinched. Sometimes when it's dry, it'll hang up as you're tightening down, and it'll pinch and mushroom out, and that's no good. Also, we used a lot of really harsh solvents on this to clean it. Now, any solvent that's left on it might eventually eat at these O-rings, so putting a layer of Rotella around it, petroleum, kind of protects that. So we got the O-ring in its place. Got our little chase ball, goes here. And there's 2 little O-rings on this guy too, but I don't want to completely saturate it, so I'm just going to put a little on my finger, and I'm going to push it around the entire gimmick. There you go. That's very nice. Now, especially on parts like this where the two O-rings are around plastic and have to get slipped in, you definitely want to lubricate that so that everything pops into its spot nicely. Because this stuff, I'm telling you, is a tight fit and can easily mushroom and pop out on you at any time. And you don't want that to happen. You want her to fit right in. And there you go. See how she's flush and you can't see either O-ring and there's no bubbling of the O-ring. Everything just kind of fit right in. And we've already lubricated and placed our O-ring for this guy right here. I do have a long and a short. So I'll go back to those. Clean those up. For the regulator, you actually need this long bolt and a shorter bolt. The pair of bolts don't match that go in the regulator. Do not get them confused with the two matching bolts for the fuel pump. Okay? The longer bolt both of those have been sprayed down with lubricant. Cleaned, prepped, sprayed down with lubricant. Now, the longer bolt is going to go, okay, the longer bolt is going to go in the upper hole, and the shorter bolt goes in the lower hole on the regulator. And I do believe they are 10 millimeter, maybe 12. Nope, they are 10. So, and these don't have to be gorilla gripped on here. They honestly just need to be snug down evenly as they're put on, because there's an O-ring in there, so no need to white knuckle. Okay, and there's the fuel bowl completely rebuilt. There you go. So we rebuilt the regulator, we put all new seals all the way around it, rebuilt the flow valve, everything moves real good. And that does it for the fuel bowl rebuild. Basically, on a side note, I would say be careful taking out the center stack pipe and removing the heater plate. It is a left-hand side thread. Other than that, you're good to go. Thanks for watching.